Your soul begins to ask better questions. What do I want now? What do I deserve? What am I no longer willing to tolerate? These questions only come when the noise dies down, and the noise often leaves with the person. It's not about their return. It's about your return to yourself. You begin to realize that the connection was just a chapter, not the whole story. And now, you're holding the pen again. You get to write what comes next. The idea that someone can occupy your mind without contact may seem like emotional weakness, but it's actually spiritual strength. It means you're evolving beyond surface level emotions. You're not just mourning a person, you're unraveling a version of yourself that was tied to that person. And unraveling takes time, honesty, and silence. You feel the weight of what was unsaid, not because you need it spoken, but because you need it understood. This internal journey is one of courage. Not everyone chooses to sit with the echoes of something unfinished, but you are. You're facing your truth, and through that, your own power. This is what awakening looks like before it feels like healing. It's easy to confuse emotional pain with emotional need. But when someone's gone and you're still thinking about them, it's usually a signal that your spirit is recalibrating. You're not aching for them, you're aching for peace. You're yearning for resolution with yourself. The silence they left behind is giving you space to question your old patterns. What made you stay too long? Why did you give so much? What did you hope they would fix? These reflections are part of your inner awakening. They may hurt, but they free you. They break the illusion that healing must come from others. Instead, you start to see that the answers were always within you. There's a sacred power in choosing yourself when someone else wouldn't. And that choice often starts with a silent realization. No text, no call, no message will bring you what you're truly looking for. Because what you seek is not their voice, it's your own. The inner voice that's been waiting patiently for you to listen. That voice is the one asking you to stop waiting and start living. It's the part of you that wants freedom, not fantasy. That knows closure isn't something you get, it's something you decide. In this space of silence, you begin to hear that voice clearly, and the more you honor it, the stronger it becomes. When someone leaves your life without explanation, it leaves you with questions. But those questions are not meant to keep you stuck. They're meant to help you grow. Growth doesn't come with answers, it comes with understanding. You realize that sometimes people exit without giving you a reason because they were never capable of giving you the love you were ready to receive. And that is not your failure, it's your awakening. You start to see patterns in your past that need breaking. You begin to realize what real love should feel like. Not uncertain, not conditional, not absent when it's hard. And in knowing what you no longer want, you move closer to what you do. It takes strength to sit in the silence and not chase closure, to resist the urge to beg for answers or hold on to hope that someone will come back just to make things right. That restraint is growth. That silence is self-respect. In the past, you may have begged for clarity, but now you understand. If someone wanted to bring peace into your life, they would have. You say you want access. Their silence is a choice, and so is yours. You can choose to hold on, or you can choose to rise. Rising doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering who you are without the pain. You were whole before them. You are healing after them. And this version of you is just getting started. There's beauty in realizing that you no longer need their voice to validate your emotions. That realization is your awakening. You've stopped trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. You've stopped trying to rewrite a past that was never meant to be permanent. Now, you are writing something new. Something that starts with your own understanding. Your peace no longer depends on their presence. Your future no longer waits on their return. This is the moment you become your own rescue. You've stopped waiting for someone to save you. You've started saving yourself. And in doing so, you've already won. One day, the silence that once hurt you will be the space where you found your strength. You'll look back and realize that their absence was the greatest teacher. Not because they were wise, but because their absence created room for your wisdom. You'll be grateful for what you learned, even if it came through pain. And you'll no longer carry their name with longing. You'll carry it with peace. What once felt like waiting will feel like becoming. Becoming the person who no longer begs to be chosen, because they've already chosen themselves. And in that choice, in that awakening, your real journey begins. Sometimes the people who linger in your thoughts the longest are not the ones meant to stay, but the ones meant to awaken something powerful inside you. Their silence doesn't mark an ending, it marks the beginning of your transformation. What you're feeling is not just the absence of someone, but the presence of growth trying to make its way into your heart. It's the quiet recognition that your healing doesn't need anyone else's permission. You begin to realize that not every connection is meant to last forever. Some are meant to shift your perspective forever. The silence, though painful, is fertile ground for your evolution. You are not breaking, you are becoming. Becoming someone who learns to carry love without losing yourself. Someone who understands that closure is not an answer, it's an awakening. And in that awakening, you step into your own strength. There comes a point when you stop searching for their return and start searching for your own soul. The memory of them no longer feels like a weight. It becomes a mirror, a reflection of where you've been, what you've accepted, and what you now know better than to tolerate. You don't need their voice to tell you who you are anymore. You've learned to trust the voice inside you that's been whispering truths all along. The one that says you are enough, even if they didn't stay. That says your worth was never dependent on being chosen. This is where healing begins. Not in their apology, but in your decision to stop waiting for it. The silence they left behind is now your space to rebuild. Brick by brick, you're learning how to stand again. Stronger, wiser, more aware. What stays in your heart after someone is gone often says more about you than it does about them. It reveals what you valued, what you gave, what you hoped for. And while it may feel like you're holding on to them, you're really holding on to your own story. That story matters. It deserves to be honored, not erased. But honoring it doesn't mean staying in pain. It means learning from it. You gather the lessons like pieces of gold, scattered through the wreckage. You don't throw them away. You carry them forward. These are the treasures of your journey, the wisdom that only heartbreak could teach. And as you carry them, you walk lighter, not heavier, because you've stopped carrying what wasn't yours to hold. Healing is never linear. Some days you'll feel free, and others, you'll feel pulled back into memories you thought you'd outgrown. That's not weakness. That's the rhythm of release. You're not back at the beginning. You're spiraling upward, even when it feels like a loop. The thoughts that revisit you are just fragments of a former self asking to be seen, understood, and let go. You're not defined by who you miss. You're defined by what you do with that longing. You can use it to break or to build, to stay trapped in what was or to rise into what's becoming. You are not your ache. You are your healing. And every moment you choose peace over pain, you are moving closer to the person you were always meant to be. There's a quiet power in realizing you no longer crave their presence to feel whole. That realization doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in soft moments of peace. In the way you breathe easier. In how you no longer check your phone. In how their name no longer stings when it crosses your mind. This isn't numbness. It's freedom. You're not indifferent. You're just no longer dependent. The bond that once held you is now just a memory, not a prison. Here, you can visit it without falling into it. That's when you know you've reclaimed your power. It's when your thoughts become reflections, not attachments. And your heart beats for your future, not your past. The silence that once haunted you becomes sacred once you understand its purpose. It wasn't there to punish you. It was there to guide you inward. To strip away the noise so you could hear your own voice again. And in that silence, you find truths that were buried beneath the chaos of longing. You find clarity that no conversation could have provided. Because sometimes, the lesson isn't in what they say, it's in what they don't. Their absence speaks louder than any words they could have offered. And now, instead of waiting for them to speak, you've started to speak to yourself with kindness, with truth, with love. That's how silence becomes healing. That's how absence becomes power. Every person who enters your life brings a lesson, and every lesson leaves a choice. You can remain in the energy they left behind, or you can rise above it. Some will leave you confused, others will leave you inspired, but all will leave you changed. And change is the only constant that guarantees growth. You weren't meant to stay where you were emotionally. You were meant to evolve, to stretch, to expand. The pain of losing someone may be the catalyst that wakes you up to your potential. It may hurt, but it's also sacred. Because pain clears the path. It strips away illusion. And what's left behind is truth. The kind that builds foundations for something better. You've started to realize that peace is more valuable than presence. That someone being in your life doesn't always mean they belong there. Some people leave chaos behind, even in their silence. And choosing to let that energy go isn't selfish. It's self-respect. You can love someone and still choose yourself. You can miss them and still not want them back. You can honor what was without wanting it again. That's growth. That's wisdom. That's knowing that your future deserves more than your past could offer. You don't need to feel guilty for moving on. You're not forgetting. You're evolving. And that evolution is the highest act of self-love. The truth is, healing doesn't look like forgetting. It looks like remembering without breaking. It looks like waking up and not needing to rewrite the past. It looks like seeing them in your thoughts and not losing your center. You have given yourself permission to move forward, not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. You've stopped defining your worth through someone else's absence. You've started defining it through your presence in your own life. That's where the shift happens, not in their return, but in your return to yourself. Every silent day, every unanswered question, every moment of stillness brought you closer to this peace. This is the freedom that silence gifted you. Eventually, what once felt like a loss starts to feel like liberation. Not because the memory fades, but because your soul has grown around it. You no longer fight the thoughts. You welcome them, let them pass, and continue on your path. Because now, you are no longer waiting for someone to complete your story. You've realized the story was always yours to write. You've stopped rereading the old chapters, hoping for a different ending. You've started writing new ones with strength, clarity, and intention. And with every word you write, you reclaim the power that was never truly lost, only waiting to be found again. Lead on. Life, beauty, the mind, and the spirit, the ways of being, the words we say. Life is enough. Your act must be loyal. Life is indispensable. And with every word you write, you reclaim the power. That's the magic of liberty. Life is indispensable. It has nothing to do with liberty. Life has no place. Life is impermanent. Life is nothing but death.